All right, hello everyone. This is a Google Hangout on Air by Beverly to discuss funding for Interconnect. I'm Ben Lupton or BA Lupton online, and we got Michael Williams, which is our dinosaur as well.
Hello.
So this is just going to be a general chat. If it's useful to other people, that'll be cool, but we're just going to treat it like a general chat because that's the way it should work. So Mike, I'm going to actually let you take over and then get up what you want to discuss. Now, there's actually a new showcase app for sharing links. So you know before how we would use like a Google like chat, like what there would be like a chat document or something, or we'd use like a Google document. So now there's actually like a showcase thing for sharing links, um, which is pretty cool. So if we could use that for sharing any links that we
Oh,
need to
okay.
share, that'll be really cool. So let me try that by showing the hackpad one in there. So
Yeah.
cool. Show item. Yep. All right. Cool. So. Well, we should probably try to make sure it's still useful for other people, I guess, as well. So this is market thoughts. Okay, da da da. So we've got a few links here, and we've got they're pretty meta. Oh, okay. No, all right, that's cool. Alrighty. So we'll just use this hackpad thing, I guess, for typing.
Mhm.
So do do do. Um, and so I guess the goal of this chat is to come up with something that we can use in a crowdfunding campaign, right?
Yeah. I mean, kind of just rebooting Interconnect in general.
Yeah.
Figure out what needs to be
And as
done.
well discussing how Inspiral may find it useful, I guess.
hmm Yeah. So I think the first thing in the document I think we should talk about is kind of who's our user persona and what user personas like do we care about and are we going to focus on any in particular? Um,
Yeah.
because like yeah, thinking about Inspiral's needs of like small developer teams and other people who are trying to like actively do things versus if we just have like friends who want to communicate.
Yeah. So shall we? Okay. So user personas. All right. Members. So right now, we have member of a small developer team, member of an open source community, member of a friend network, and member of a temporary community. So I wonder whether or not it's worthwhile kind of working just to start from the beginning or like working backwards from like that big pitch link, which is
Mm-hmm.
like that image we have, because that image is kind of like the fundamental pieces between all of this. So one of the things, yeah, like we need to figure out who's going to be using this. Now, it's this group idea and as well this chat idea is going to be an interesting thing because like in that market talks document and just in the discussions it's like should there be groups is very difficult, and then in the end the decision was that conversations are added to a group. So there's a global group and then there's these subgroups and then conversations are added to these subgroups, and that conversations are completely public to that subgroup. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's probably worthwhile. But this is something I've been thinking about as well, which is if we're doing a crowdfunding campaign, we probably only want to talk about the things that we know 100% are actually going to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
When growth is like an area which is like, oh, okay, that's very like this is something that in that other app, the Access app idea, right? Like I'm like in the demo, we could just show you these tiny little pieces, and it's like that's the workflow. When in this, because Interconnect is completely experimental, we don't really want to, um, just talk about features that, in when we actually build it, it's like, okay, that completely did not work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think, like, so we know though that we're going to have like one global room, which is going to have everybody in it. I think everyone can agree on that. We also know that we do want to be able to browse people's conversations. That's like one of the big appealing things about this. Whether or not that's in the MVP or not, I don't particularly care. I just like the most immediate appeal and the most immediate benefit is just to be able to see everybody and then click people and have conversations with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that's the most immediate add. So if we look at it, um, bup, 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 people, da, da, da. So if we just look at it like maybe how does this work? Ooh, backpads, nifty pieces, right? So first one is group for everyone, where group for everyone, click people to have calls. Um,
But even the group for everyone, I think, is not necessarily well, yeah, it's not necessarily everyone's going to want that.
well, we need that as like the foundation to even do groups, right? Because either way, we need people to be able to log into the app and then see who's online. Because immediately we're not going to have enough people using it to, warrant, hey, let's, like, this is the issue with Squiggle. When you log in as Squiggle, it's like, okay, nobody else is online. I'm going to close the app, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least if you have like, see who everyone is online, then it's like, okay, I'm going to leave the app open.
Yeah,
Um,
but for a group like in Spiral
yeah,
can just say we're going to stop using HipChat and we're going to start using Interconnect, and then that
yeah,
solves the problem of having people.
yeah. So,
But they don't want a group of everyone outside of Inspiral. They just want their Inspiral groups.
yeah. So this is where like those subgroups come in, right? Because it's kind of like they want a private chat, but just within that particular Inspiral community, right?
Mm.
Or within the actual subgroups. Now, for Inspiral, like this is a valid use case to like walk through. So is like right now when you join HipChat, right? Like I have access to every single room there is, correct? Or
Mm.
is there some rooms I don't see?
As far as I know, you can see them, but there's possibly rooms you can't see. I don't know.
Yeah. So it seems like it's more like, hey, look, there's an Inspiral community, and then we have access to everything within that Inspiral community. So
Mm.
perhaps like, because when people think of groups, I think like the immediate thing is thinking of like a Skype group chat, right? It's something that a user kind of just created on the fly. It's like a dynamic thing. When a community is more like the hip chat, like the environment, like a Slack environment, and then you have like these rooms. So
Mm.
there's like I guess distinguishments. Whoops.
Yeah, so I mean, this
Distinguish.
is what I was calling like spaces.
Yeah. So we have like
Th-
rooms, communities, um, or organizations, um, and then I guess rooms. So I guess these are permanent rooms, and then there's like temporary group chats, right? They're like and then there's individual conversations, right? I guess.
yeah, so I guess my
So in
idea is to
terms of
call all of those spaces.
yeah, spaces. So can you describe that? Like, maybe what that would look visually, because right now we got community and organizations. That's more like a structural thing, right? Like that's something that would contain, like that's something I would imagine like we would have like a global group.
Mm.
Then we have like communities, organizations, and then these things like contain um, these ones, right?
Mm.
Is that the way you saw it as well?
Yeah. The idea behind having one sort of concept is that it's easier to be recursive. And if you say, because I don't want to get into, or this is sort of the ideal way of doing it. But the ideal way would be that it's, it could be nested in any sort of way rather than saying, oh, you have to have a community, and then in the community you have to have rooms, and in the rooms you have to have such and such.
Yeah. So in your idea, it would be spaces, spaces, spaces,
Yeah.
right?
What it
Well, I
looks like, how to
guess
do it, it's an open question.
maybe still would be like a global space, and then it would be like spaces, spaces.
Yeah. So it'd be like, then your like community space, and then your team space.
Team space. And then where would like say a group chat come, right? Would they be in any of these levels? Like let's say, okay, in the community I now just want to chat to Michael and I want to chat to Josh, right? In a group
Mm-hmm.
chat, where would that happen?
So you would just make a new space, invite us to the space.
Yeah. So that could happen like I guess here, right? Like Josh, Ben, Michael. And then it could happen here, Josh, Ben, Michael. Then it could happen here, right? Josh, Ben, Michael. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So the way I like preliminarily defined it was just a space is a connection of people together.
Yep.
So they're not even necessarily inside of each other. They're kind of just like who you're connected with.
Yeah. So what, more like Facebook friends or something?
But
Or
more of
not?
like it'd be like direct, like based on WebRTC. So like who you are actually like have a connection with, like a real time connection with.
Okay. Ah, yep. So, okay. So in terms of like the infrastructure, would there be any? This is a really nice app. I like this app, the HackPad app. It works really well. It even underlines the words that people change. That's so cool. Um, Alrighty. So we have so for the interface for this, right? We would still imagine that there would be like I guess, group for everyone, click people to have video and calls, ability to create spaces, um, which are groups of people. Now, this is where I guess like it kind of converges, because like the idea, at least with like a community, um, global group, well, here you would probably have communities and organizations. Whatever. Um, so maybe global space. Then we can say, I don't know, Ben's fork, maybe then Michael's fork. All right. So the idea with like a conversation, like a community thing, it would be really nice for people to be able to browse communities, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, look, I want to be part of that community, or that's a private, like kind of like Facebook groups, like you can search for groups. Then you can be like, hey, that group's interesting, let me join that group, or I can browse that group because it's an open group, right? So these
Mm-hmm.
would have like public, private, and secret, right? So
Mm-hmm.
would the spaces have like these same type of aspects to this,
Yeah. So if
right?
you look up here, I have user stories. which are kind of what you're going through.
Okay. Space.
So I have, as a user, I can see open spaces, or it could just be I can see public spaces.
Do you remember what that app was? There was like an app, Sprintly. That's it. Have you ever used Sprintly before?
No.
I'll show it. All right, I'll put it in this thingy, Mabobi. Links. Oh, this app is so cool. Hackpad wins the internet. It's made by Dropbox. How do I not know this? Do you know it's made by Dropbox?
No, I didn't, but it makes sense because I have no script, so it didn't work unless I enabled the Dropbox script. And I was thinking that
This
was
is
weird.
so cool. Ah, it's so amazing. Even like their about Hackpad page is a Hackpad thing. This is amazing. I'm going to try and get tip them somehow. Are they on Twitter? Yes. So Gra to pay them. Alright, hold up. I need a Gra to pay them. How pressed are you on time? Should I be digressing on these little things, or is this okay?
It's totally fine. I'm just gonna get sleep here as we go, though.
Alright. Hold up. Alright, sign in with Twitter. No, hold up. I'll sign in with GitHub. Alright. They don't have any people ready to give on GratiPay. Now there's one. Alright. There you go. Just did a tweet. Alright. Alright, okay. My digression is finished. Okay. So I've used Sprintly before. It's really cool for actually creating cards, like user stories and things like that, and progressing them further. It is paid, which is a pain in the butt. But I think there may be like an open source version of it somewhere. But there's a Stack Overflow question that links like a bunch. All right, so we have the ability to create spaces, which are groups of people. And now, I guess, ability to browse spaces, see public, private one, request invites to private ones. Do not see secret ones. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You can see statuses and streamatized. Because I'm just thinking like this numbering is okay. I guess your stuff is doing it in the same way. Let's see. And connect to others via space. Alright, affiliate via spaces. Ability to have video and voice calls with 1+ people. Now, one of the things I was thinking about when we actually add recording is it would be amazing. So you can record the videos and see everything. Is actually use Interconnect as a journaling application. So I could, or like a vlogging application. Like I can click myself and then like just say, hey, you know, I thought about these things today, and use it as like my diary, which I think would be really cool. So I'll say once recording is done, ability to call yourself for vlogging. Men would use this all the time. All right. So the next question is, then I guess, all right, spaces can have collaborative content, scratchpad, text chat, and topic. So just now, this is one of the things that's interesting to me, right? Now, if we're doing Interconnect for these spaces, like say right now for this Google Hangout on Air, we're using Hackpad for this, right? To document this and to try and share links and things like that. So I'm thinking like one of the things is if we just keep Interconnect just focus on voice, video, and things like that, and then maybe we just like maybe use Hackpad or partner with something else for like the sharing of everything like that. That would be like then we delegate it to someone like another startup or whatever that then can do that better than us. So like say we find out, because the problem is if we just focus on just doing great video conversations, like great public or space or community video conversations, then that's like a pretty easy focus and it's a pretty concise focus. But then if we're saying, look, we also want to do text chat, we also want to do files, we also want to do other things, yeah, I think it kind of distracts from the focus and it's a lot harder to build like a good product then, because then it's not like we're not just doing one single thing, we're trying to do many things. And it just seems like very dangerous thing to enter versus like maybe just saying, okay, look, if you're in a chat, look, we've already created a Hackpad thing for you. Or look, you're already in a chat. Look, we've already created like maybe a Dropbox folder or something for you where you can add files or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's just the components thing.
Yeah.
Of we don't need to make. Yeah, we can just use other people's components for those pieces.
Because yeah, so now we're like tackling this one. So far, yep, that's. I'm just gonna. Can I bold things? Oh, it's so amazing. All right. So public and private spaces. Cannot see secret spaces. As a user, I can join a space. As a user, I can be invited to a space. As a user, I can be invited to a space. As a user, I can request an invite to a space, to a private space. As a user, I can join a open space, or a public space. What's even by myself? What does that mean?
Well, the video logging thing.
Okay.
Like you can join a space of just you.
Oh, so you're thinking that a call would even be a space?
Yeah, everything's a space.
Everything's a space. This is like Inception, Michael.
This is how I design things. Is I make one like concept and everything is that like it's holons. For me,
Yeah.
people, groups, they're all holons.
Okay, so but visually they're not all the same, right?
Yeah, visually we can make them so they can look different, but it should be based on what the people want it to look like.
All right.
Like there can be various kind of formats for what spaces look like.
So this is something we need to do, right? So it's like, what are the views? So like in the views we have face wall, right? That's one of the most basic things. Then we have our conversation. So this will be big faces of people in the conversation. And then maybe a sidebar of activity. So perhaps file shared, people talk to, people invited, join times, leave times, etc., etc. So if, yeah, space network, conversation, and then we also have like a profile or like a profile view. Space network. So I guess space view, right? So that's got like a face view, face wall. So is that what you mean by space network, or rather like
Yeah,
spaces
no, you're
view
right.
then?
You're right.
So browse for spaces, space view, face wall of people, and person view. Yeah, so profile, information, conversations. Browse conversations you have access to. Because conversations privacy are tied to their parent space. Yep.
Mm.
Man, this app is so amazing. All right, conversation. Big faces of people in the conversation, sidebar of activity. This sidebar is probably also going to be in the space view, right?
Yeah, it could be.
Also on space view when enabled. Okay. So cyber activity, person view, space
What
view.
if the idea is that conversation is a space? Then
Yeah.
it would make sense for it to be anytime you're in a space.
All right, conversation view, profile view, talk to
Because I mean,
conversations.
the big faces of people in the conversation is just if you're in a conversation with 4 people, the faces can fill up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Versus if you're in a space of 30 people, then they're just going to be smaller. But either
So
way, it's still a face wall.
let me just pull up the mock-ups we've already done.
Yeah.
Discover our design and business resources. All right. Yeah, I was sleeping peacefully, and then I woke up this morning, and I'm like, I swear I've forgotten something. It's like, it's just like, I swear, like, the feeling where like you wake up and you're like, have I forgotten to board my flight today? So, yeah. So I mean, it was a funny moment, and I'm like, oh gosh, the meeting is so like I checked my time and I was like, yeah, 1 p.m. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. So, oh no, preview available. All right. Let's go back. Where is it? Interconnect. No. I wonder if we can share. Hold on. I'll just share my browser window so people actually see something semi-useful, I guess, in the Hangout. Screen share. Where is screen share? There we go. All right, sweet. So that's one design. Is just on. This is like a very. So you can like there's a sidebar of things happening, and then people. So what we can do with Polymine is really easy to do. It's like the people you've clicked can be moved or animated towards like the top of the screen, or like grouped together or added to a new bar. But really what I'm thinking is there just needs to be like 2 different views, right? Like if you're in a call, there's like a bar up the top or something, which is like, you are now in a call with these people. So then you click that bar and then you can actually see like just the faces of who are in it, like a Google Hangouts style interface, because it's fine and dandy, kind of definitely they should be made interactive, whatever, but you also just need like a view where you can just focus on the actual people that you're talking with, in like a really big and high definition view. So that's something that needs to be done. I wonder how HackPad goes with ASCII art. What is this? Where's my code snippet? Alright, maybe it doesn't. Oh no! Alright, I'm gonna have to turn off the screen share because it's not working. It's killing my connectivity. Alright, reconnect now. Okay, so while Hackpad's struggling, my first issue with it, um, the for the spaces thing, right? So what is there any other views we kind of need? So we got the spaces view, we got a space view, a person view, a conversation, and this sidebar, right? So your view is that a conversation is a space as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about a person's profile? Is a person's profile a space?
No, that's just the person's profile.
Okay, yeah. So conversation view. So I guess like maybe just face wall view. Let's put it that way, just to be very specific. Big faces in the conversation. So there will be like a toolbar up the top when a conversation is started to open up the conversation view from the face wall view.
Wouldn't that be like when you're on IRC or HipChat? Like from HipChat, it's the sidebar. IRC usually top bar, kind of like tabs.
So it's well, you only be in one conversation at once.
But you might be in multiple spaces at once.
Yes, right. So this is one of the things, right? This is why I think conversations may not be a space because, like spaces, we can kind of consider them to be like anywhere where there's a face wall, right? And if we consider a conversation, which is just like, that's when you actually have a direct connection to other people. Well, actually, you're still going to have a direct connection, but it's more like there's audio and video enabled. But the thing is, you're only going to be in one conversation at a time. Like, we can't have like two mobile phones on both ears having separate conversations. Like, so
Yeah.
this toolbar, like, have you got that that link all the way at the bottom that drives the Google one? So
Yeah.
all the way at the bottom of Hackpad, there's links, and then there's like a Google one, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, and now if you click on that first design the MP interconnect one,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're going to like on the left there's like pictures of people and there's like the interface. So like that's like the face wall design, right? This is all just around the face wall. So we look at like the first like application design, right? Let's just consider that a face wall. The pictures aren't going to be that gigantic. This is going to be a lot smaller for the face wall thing, more like how they look on the right hand side. But so we mouse over, we click a few people, right, and we add them to the conversation. So then at the top bar, it's going to be like jump to the conversation view, right? So you click that, and then you jump to the conversation view, and then you can click the top bar again to jump back to the spaces view, or whatever. Because the thing is, we don't want like a permanent icon for this somewhere in the UI, because the thing is, it's not a permanent thing. You're not always in a conversation. So it's just going to be something where it's like, if you are in a conversation, then you can jump to that.
Yeah, I'm confused a little bit how this works.
All right. Is there a sketching app? Do you know something as awesome as Hackpad, but for sketching?
I don't know.
Code. Oh, Google Hangouts has a sketch one.
That's true.
All right, hold up. I clicked the draw app. What's going to happen? How do I do this? Draw. Yeah, where's my drawing thing?
Oh, it might be for drawing on people.
Seriously?
You can draw on my face.
It's not working. I can't draw on you. Hold up. It's just not working. Ah, okay. Searching for a face. Oh, duh, that's so lame. That could have been a useful tool. All right. I wonder if there's another draw. Draw on each other inside a hangout. That's just dumb. All right. Google Art Project. Oh, no, that's not what we want. Kako. Kako for user-friendly. Ah, there we go. Cacao. Coco. All right. Let's just set you, and hopefully you're trustworthy. Yep. Continue. All right. That's weird. Yeah, add to video call. Can you try add that? Because I'm not having much luck.
Try what?
CACOO for Hangouts.
Wait, say it again.
There's an app called Coco for Hangouts, but it's not like working when I click it. Alright, whatever. Online collaborative sketch tool. Blockdraw, Co-Sketch, Twiddler. Whiteboard. Real time board. Alright, hopefully one of these. Yeah, it's like, it says Kaku for Hangouts needs your permission. So I'm like, okay, continue. And then it doesn't do anything. Oh, I know why. Because I'm logged in as Bevry rather than myself. And like, okay. Alright, we're going to have to give up on that.
I can add it, but I need to refresh because no script is blocking it. So BRB.
You should turn off no script on Google Plus, maybe. Alright, hold up. There's one called Or App. That one seems good enough. Alright. Right, menu. How do I share this? Alright, invite. Alright. Hackpad. Alright, if you go all the way down to the bottom, there's a link. Alright. Sign up is free. Alright, so can you see that Or App thing? I just scribbled like something crazy.
Yep.
Alright, sweet. Alright, cool. So, you know, let's say we have our app, right? Oh, wow. Alright, then we have like all our people, right? Then we have like this sidebar or whatever, and then that's like all the activity, right? So let's say now we go and click like a few people. So let's say this person, and this person now in a conversation, right? So when they're in a conversation, we get a bar up here, whoops, and then it's like, you know, convo view, right? Convo. This makes you wish you had a stylus, doesn't it? All right, convo view, and then it'll be back and it'll be like, I don't know, whatever, right? App, right? App view. And you also have like your sidebar here of like navigation, right? So nav.
So what's in the navigation?
well, that'll be like, sorry, whoops, can I undo? Eraser. All right. So the nav would be like, actually, no, let's screw that bar, right? Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Somewhere we need a way of joining like our spaces, right? So maybe that can just be like a drop down. It actually makes sense to probably be a drop down or something, right? So like, a little drop down, and then at the bottom it can be like find more spaces, right? Find space, right? Find space. This is so futile. All right, find space. Right, and then the app view, right? So we got 3 people, right? So it's really big. So then we'll have like, I guess, 3 things down the bottom. They're all people, and then we'll have like the active user here, like sub, right? And then we'd probably actually have a sidebar as well, right? Of like maybe the activity. We don't actually need, I guess, yeah, we would probably have a sidebar here, right? So then it'll probably be like hack pad created, would be like something else, be like something else, be like something else, right? And then these are like the people. Or like the one of the sex signs for like one of the genders. All right.
Wait, so what is the thing in the middle?
So that's like the active person, just like in Google Hangouts, right?
Right.
So like you click someone and then they become active. Because the alternative is it becomes quite hard to then figure out how do we, well, like that's the other thing, right? This is like one way of showing it. The other way of showing it is, we just have it where we have like one big view and then like each 3 people are like equal sizes, right? But the thing is like, it's a bit annoying then to try and figure out like how do you actually distribute that, right? Like how do you show 3 people equally with the right things? Like you would have to have like some type of grid. Wait, can you add text? You can add text.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like for me, like the only similarities between these two, right, is like that sidebar, and that they both have people, right? Like one is still like I guess this is like a face wall view, right? That's like a face wall view, and this is like the convoy view, right? Sidebar of activity, and sidebar of activity in convoy, right? Active person, right? So, and then yeah, find a space, right? Space, right? So, okay. So, like that's pretty much like I think what the app needs to look like. Like this sidebar definitely needs to be toggled, I'd imagine. Like, just have like a little toggle button. And this little thing here would probably go like here, right? I'd imagine. So you have like 2 things up the top. Maybe it's its own bar, perhaps, right? At the top, so you can show the side. Actually, when I actually prototyped it, there is like a bar here, right? So you can show the sidebar, you can manage your account, you can do other things, right? And then there would just be like a convoy view here. So it'll be like manage account, yeah, change space or whatever, right? So we'll just call that space selector and then toggle sidebar, right? So that's kind of it, right? And then this, whoops, yeah, that's, oh, the eraser got bigger, maybe. And then this is go to conversation, 3 people, right? And then app view, you would be go to app, right? Something like that. Convey view. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, it's worth trying.
All right, cool. Alrighty, so see public-private ones, do not see secret ones. Okay, people, so the next thing then would be like ability to share files, scratch notes, do whatever. These can be third-party integrations that show up in Sidebar, right? That take you elsewhere. Maybe, right? Something like that. That take you elsewhere. So that's all fine and good. And all right, let's go back up. So we've covered that. As a user, I can see statuses and stream attires. So statuses is going to be something interesting, right? Do we need statuses if we can see that they're not at their computer?
Yeah. Because
There can be various. You can be at your computer, but you want to say that you're busy.
Yeah. If we can see them. Yes, they need to indicate they are busy, which leaves voicemails, voice or video mails, right? So this voice and video mails to me is actually a very important thing, but that requires because the question is like how soon should this actually be in the app, right? So we then have video and voicemails. Well, actually, we'd probably have statuses, right? So so available and busy statuses. Busy status means they can only leave voice, video mails. Stops people getting interrupted. So which order should this happen in? Like, should the video and voicemail, should that be like one of the first things we need? So like this is like depends on recording, right? So ability to record conversations and view them. So is Interconnect going to be valuable before we introduce the concept of spaces? Like if we just do a global space, like should this be like up here with number 3, or is this fine over here at like after all of this above stuff? Right? Because I imagine like this thing is probably, you know, to some extent is probably important, but to another extent, you know, maybe not. It's just like, you know, what order do we kind of need things in?
Yeah, I think we should just do the order that makes like development sense.
Yeah.
To some, like we're gonna need the spaces and stuff before we can think about how we're gonna do. Like we need to have people talking together before we can start recording those conversations.
All right. So.
And I think
stream attires, right? Stream attires, then interactive stream attires for third-party sites. GIF, yes, right? So I guess I don't know. Animated stream attires, interactive stream attires. There we go. So we got that covered. You can see detailed profiles, yep. I can have a recording of a space. Well, that would be a recording of conversations within a space, right? You couldn't record a face wall thing because like that's just for recording of conversations.
Well, the idea was that like if there's more than just the video in a space, you want to record like the text and the
Yeah.
other things that are passing through the space. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess part of my idea is that if spaces is like directly just the WebRTC backing, then you can start sharing a lot of data over that.
Yeah. So, because that's kind of the thing, right? Like whether or not there should be like a chat room type thing, right? And I think you know, there's already kind of tools for chat rooms, and it's something that, you know, distracts from the main value of Interconnect, right? Because right now there isn't anything that does video calls and video mails and voice calls and voicemails like really well to like this degree. So it's something that like you know, like but there's plenty of things to do chats, right? And do chats quite well because, you know, one thing is like, do we just want to kill like Google Hangouts on Air or Skype or something like that, or do we also want to tackle Slack and HipChat? And that's like a lot more difficult. And it's also like something which is we want to kind of encourage people to actually talk to each other. And that's like the whole idea of it. When if people are still just like, you know, chatting and stuff, you know, it like the video mails are awesome for that, right? Just click someone and leave a video mail, and then you can watch the video mail or the voicemail. But like chatting is just like, hey, you know, let's chat or whatever. So it's, I guess it kind of a bit like just detracts from like the awesomeness, or like the potential of what this app can do from like a social change perspective of actually getting people to talk to each other again.
Yeah, I'm just looking from the technical perspective of I think that our technical focus is really this is like building on top of WebRTC.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to leverage like even in this conversation, we've been using audio, but then we also immediately went to, you know, the hackpad, and then we went to a whiteboard, and all those things could happen over WebRTC. So we don't need to like focus on them, but we should at least like be very minded, like be able to integrate them like first class.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like I do think that's an option. I don't think it's like something that should be like our focus, at least until like the rest of the stuff is done.
Yeah, totally.
Just it's a big distraction, I guess, from like the core value of it. So let's break this one apart into a few things. I can save a recording of a conversation. So that includes video, voice, and sidebar activity, right? As a user, I can save, I guess like, you know, that's pretty it. And then it was like, as a user, and save activity in a spaces view, right? So like a what interface wall view, face wall spaces view. For no audit trail, I guess, right? As a user, I can play back a recording of a space. Yeah, I think we covered that. Have we? If others browse, watch others' conversations that they have access to. All right. Search. This is the other one, right? Searching. So that probably should go before maybe, I don't know, transcripts for conversations using speech API. View transcripts and search transcripts. conversations. Now let me check that gigantic. The pieces of the puzzle. What are we forgetting? Browsing profiles, statuses, yep. Calling big view, yep. Each topic to group. Yeah. Journal. Right, file transfers, receiving public widget, impact, vision. Alrighty, so search transcripts. Uh-oh. Ah, alright, wait. Concept, streamer task, status, space. Alright, so we've got that. I can share recordings of a space with others in a space. So that's already automatic, right? Through the activity, like the sidebar. As a user, I can share recordings of a space with others in a space. Because I would imagine that would be activity, be automatic because you have that sidebar audit trail, right? So like, you know, when you.
But from a technical standpoint, if I join a space, I have to get the recordings from someone else.
Yeah. So this is like this is more like broken into two. People should be able to see conversations, activities that occurred while they were outside of the app. So where should this stuff be stored? So two questions there. Right, so where should conversations and activities be stored? So my idea for this is that, you know, we don't really want to incur like a whole bunch of server costs and things like that. And, you know, we want to kind of be as open as possible. So here's the idea. Your video voice is stored on your computer as a file somewhere in a viewable format. Let's say WebM, right? That's an open source thing. Then we have their video voice that you received in the call is stored on your computer. Once the conversation has completed, and you know, once the conversation and you are not in another conversation idling, or I guess idle mode, you then sync the HD copy of their video of your conversation with them to your computer to replace your poor quality version, right? So optional via flag is stored on your computer. Low quality due to the network issues during the call, right? High quality as direct feed into your webcam, etc. Right? So then what happens is when you log in to the app, you then send whatever, right? When you log into the app, others logged in query you about what conversations you have stored. You then give them the result, right? They then aggregate it with their results, right? With their data, right? Which is displayed for them. So pretty much it's like an entire client-side app, right? The only thing we have on the back end, so all the back end does is serve HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and provides the turn server, right?
Mm-hmm.
Turn iService. Front end renders data and connects the peers together and builds up a peer-to-peer style representation of the data to display, right? To display. Issues with this. If a user is, if all the users in station were are offline, that conversation is hit, right? Workaround is that others can specify themselves as the conversation stored. Workaround is that others can specify themselves as seeders, I guess, who then download other people's conversations inside the spaces the seeder is a part of, right? Seems like a good idea?
Specify others as your seeders.
Well, I guess I know more like say just an individual can just switch a flag, right? Saying that, hey, I will become a seeder. And then that seeder then downloads, like, leeches off the conversations from everyone else in that space. Make sense?
Maybe, yeah.
So like,
or within the space, yeah.
So like initially, yeah. So workaround is that, yeah. So others, so someone not in the convo, can specify themselves as a seeder. Workaround, or well, I guess workaround is people can specify themselves as the seeders. Themselves as seeders. Workaround. So then seeders download all conversations within a space to their computer so that others can access them when the others can access all conversations while the seed should be always online and probably with big servers and no bandwidth limits, or big storage and bandwidth limits. Robots, right? Do we actually care whether or not they're a bot or something like that? Like from an account perspective, we probably don't. Like it's still going to be an account, right?
They're all agents. So people, group, bots, whatever.
Yeah. Humans or bots, whatever, right? So do you reckon that's like a good idea to keep like our costs down way low and not actually have really any issues?
Yeah, totally. And we want to
And
make
I think later on, right, when the BitTorrent over Yeah, when the BitTorrent protocol over WebRTC matures enough, which it will do very soon, then we can just use Bitcoin protocol for that. And it's like, you know, big win.
Wait, say that again?
Because all we need to do then, right, is then, so there's people working on porting Bitcoin to WebRTC and JavaScript, right? Bitcoin, BitTorrent. So when that happens, right, all we have to do then to do all the synchronization stuff is whenever a conversation is made, like a particular video, we just give that like a magnet link, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is we just say, okay, you know, if you were in the conversation, then you download from that magnet link, right? So you share that magnet link with the other people, they download it. And then seeders then say, look, okay, I'm a seeder, there was a conversation that happened, what are the magnet links for the videos, right? So then they then just use the magnet link. So that way, instead of it being like direct connections to everybody, instead it's just a Bitcoin protocol handling all of that. So each video would get a magnet link. People then get a magnet link generated by the creator of the video. So initially, the person, the video is the initial seer, and the other person in the conversation leeches it. Then the seeders, well, then the other person in the conversation, and the seeders leeches it. Then we have multiple seeders or multiple leeches, right? So if we just do this, I guess, you know, if we just wait for this tech to mature, that handles all our diffusion problems.
Yeah.
More or less, right?
Yeah, we should just do this off the bat instead of something like that.
Yeah. And that would be a really cool pitch, right? And the thing will be like, we're creating a thing that uses BitTorrent for like the stuff and it uses WebRTC. Like, I think that's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. All right. Another option is we can also use BitTorrent video stream technology too. So BitTorrent is used to download the video in order so you can watch it. Does this. They are also web-based. We should chat to them, right? Because if we then just do recording and then for actually watching conversations that initially happen, we just use the BitTorrent protocol, then that's like, you know, a huge relief from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you there, Michael?
Yeah.
So do you get what I mean? Have you seen Popcorn Time before?
Yeah. Would that be as good as those WebRTC? I feel like that would be because Popcorn Time works because all the like popular videos have like
Well, I'm
thousands
pretty
of
sure
views.
like that's just yeah. So either way, right? We're very sporadic thing. And if, you know, at least if those people online actually have access to that data, like, you know, if the seeder for that space, and then we have other people, like, you know, so whenever someone, this is like another thing we have to say, right? Other people who have watched other people's conversations, keep those people's conversations on the hard drive to become seeders themselves, right? So I mean, like, this will work really well. So if you are in a conversation, you idle your torrents, right? Or you idle your seeding, right? Idle your torrents, seeding and leeching, right? Because otherwise it's going to detract from your things. I mean, like, that would work really well. So is like a company, by product I know that does do like so a BitTorrent file or whatever, just like a video. So you can use BitTorrent for streaming. So I mean, like, if we just use that, that's really easy because it solves like the multiple peers, it solves all these problems, and you know, we can use BitTorrent over WebRTC providing those products work, right? So
Yeah.
Interconnect plus WebTorrent stream, right? Equals awesome. So that's pretty much that whole issue solved. So recording should definitely be like one of the last things we do because we're going to be basing that off torrenting. So streamer ties could then probably come before, I guess, because that's one of the big social aspects of this. So we could probably do streamer ties earlier. Oh, Hackpad, I just lost respect for you. You see how the numbers all screwed up? All right, here we go.
Wait, where are you?
I got disconnected again.
Wait, what's wrong with the numbers?
No, it's fine now. Before, like, the numbering got all messed up. When I copied. Hold up, my Hackpad's restarting. Oh, free plan. Free plan. Or Sprintly. All right. Video. All right. See, so streamer charge would be earlier, right? And see how then it just plug it up. Oh, what is that? Let's just reload it. I think we were editing the same thing at the same time, right?
I don't know.
All right. Yeah, because it just like nuked itself. Let me. Come on, Hackpad. I don't understand how something which is just text. Maybe it's actually server issues on their side. guessing. All right. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, all right, great. All right. All right, so they would be killed. Based on implementation of the torrent liberty C. This profiles, this would have to come before streamatize, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd imagine. Ability for others to browse and watch other messages they have to. Depends on recording. Depends on recording. Depends on recording. Alright, so recording can come last. Group for everyone. I think so. Busy statuses should probably come further. Click on people that have recently followers. Yep, so that's good. There we go. Ability to share files, ability for others. Yeah, this could come earlier. I mean, it's not that bad. Right. So may come earlier. Right, so something like that. Ability to browse spaces, ability to view spaces, activity slash audit trail, right? Or activity log, something like that. Order. Can you hear me, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you think that sums it up in a good order? Like these pieces?
The first one's still kind of questionable.
Well, the thing is, if we just do like a group for everyone, we can start working on it already, right? Because
Yeah,
there's
that's,
spaces within spaces within spaces. Like it's just something that's a bit hard. So,
yeah,
like,
okay,
you
that
know,
makes
we can
sense
start,
actually.
you know, just kind of getting it to work right away. And it's still one of these things, right? Because even with fractions of the parent group, right? The subsets. Um, so I don't know, maybe like down the line, people are like, I really don't want to be part of this group for everyone thing. It creeps me out or something like that. But as well as like part of the social change thing where we want to, you know, just have it so, you know, maybe this app, like for the implementation details, you know, we could actually do it as an app that just runs maybe on your computer, and then that sends like a stream. So it's just like a background app that then sends the stream to the Interconnect thing, like the interface of like the web program or something like that, to then, you know, work a bit better. Because like some of the big questions about this is like, I guess one of the things like interesting, is how should one person on multiple, oh gosh, damn you hacked that. Right, so like how should one person on multiple devices work? Right, that's something really interesting. And as well, if someone closes the app, should they still be sending the stream? Right, probably definitely not, because that could be like a huge privacy issue. So, you know, it's, yeah, so I mean, I think that's fine. But I think it's just really nifty to have this idea of like this group for everybody. So then it's like, hey, you know, we're not just like segmented by our companies or these. It's just something which is like, hey, I can actually discover everybody, right? Like I
Mhm.
could search for whoever it is and actually just really be able to interact with them. Maybe that's something we need. Specify privacy per space. So you could be like, okay, you know, for the global space, don't show me at all. Or, you know, I just want to be like a ghost in this space. I don't want, but they can leave me voicemails, right? That would be a good idea, because I can imagine, right? Let's say if we get like some celebrity, let's say Britney Spears or something, right? Using the app, right? They definitely do not want to be in the global space, right? Because then they're getting calls non-stop, right? Say, or like say Elon Musk, right? But they would want to be in the smaller spaces. So that's definitely like a concern for later down the line when we actually, you know, encounter that issue. But for now, the more conversations, the better. Um, but you know, later down the line, that's not going to be true. So. And I think for Inspire, right, they're going to want to have like everything public, like all the conversations within a particular space, right?
What do you mean?
Are you there? So like, so the way HipChat works, right? Like if I'm having, let's say we're in the Inspiral space, and then I have a conversation with you, right? Everyone else in the Inspiral space should be able to see that conversation, right?
You can have private conversations, but you would, yeah, I think it makes sense that
Yeah.
you'd want other people to see most of your conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. So then this is one of the big question, right? Which is, how should we do private conversations? This conversations would be a space because, you know, if we consider spaces like a container of people, um, and then, you know, that, you know, has the privacy that any conversation within that space works, like, you know, gets access to that, then that's really cool. Um, So it's like this is one of the things, right? Which is how should um, okay, whoops, okay. how should multiple devices work, and how should private per group or per space work. Spaces within spaces makes this difficult, right? Because the thing is, so if we go to the question section, right, it's a bit weird because, you know, then spiral, so it'd be like global, in spiral, then craft works, right?
Mm.
And then like a conversation, right? So Ben, Michael, conversation, right? Should be like just available here or available here too, right? Available here too, right? See, so it's like a question. Maybe when the conversation finishes, you then decide which spaces this should be available to. Maybe that's the way, that's the only probably secure way of actually deciding this. I mean, when a conversation ends, you just want to go like have a pee and drink some water, right? You don't want to be filling out a little survey. Because like
So it could be
before,
when
right, if we just had it as like one, yeah, go on.
it could be when you start a conversation, you start it in a space. Because like if I am going to go walk up to someone and have a conversation, I've already chosen the space to have the conversation.
Yeah. So let's go back to that. So if we just say single tiered spaces, right? So then we have global, we have in spiral, we have craftworks, right? So if I have something, which is then like if I have it here, right? Then Michael, conversation. So global space, spiral space, right? Available to everyone in here, right? To everyone in every space in here. Right, so like this way is easy to figure out, right? Because it's private, then I actually hold that conversation inside the craft workspace, right? So Ben, Michael, conversation, right? I guess only visible to in spiral craft workspace, no other space, right? So I mean, like that's like this is really straightforward, right? If it's just a single tier, which was what was originally planned. When like if it's like this, then it's like what the? Does that kind of make sense?
Mm-hmm. It still could be though that it only goes up
So
one
this
tier.
is like a question that needs to be. Yeah. So that could be like, I guess it's also in which area do we want to create that conversation, and maybe this is going to be like a UI issue, right? Because maybe I'm just in the global thing and I have a chat with you, which really should have been something just visible in the craft workspace, and then it's just like, uh-oh. But however, if we like, this is one of the issues with the sidebar thing, I think. When if we change it from the sidebar thing to then like a drop down at the top, it becomes very more obvious about which space we're currently in. So that issue wouldn't happen, right? So yeah, probably, you know, it's just visible to the parent, would make sense, and it's probably the most secure way. And then the decision is just about in which space do you actually create the conversation in.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And maybe that's something we like initially when they started, spaces should be invited to this conversation. Because right now, we've been thinking about it as maybe a conversation just as one parent, when rather maybe a conversation is then linked to spaces situation. Maybe that's a better way of doing it in the way Google Hangouts does it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a decision left to have. Now, Helen's just made me some very yummy dinner. Shall we pick this up in like half an hour, or shall we pick this up tomorrow, or what?
We should pick this up probably tomorrow then, because it's like
Yep.
2 a.m.
So 2 a.m. tomorrow? What?
No, it's 2 a.m. for me right now.
Do you mean PM? What do you mean? Oh yeah, you guys are in the future. I was thinking you guys were in the past. Sydney always being in the future of everything, right? So it's like, oh yeah, everyone's gonna be earlier. Alright. I apologize for
Wait, no,
keeping you up this late, Michael.
You know I'm in California though, right?
You're in California. I thought you were in
Yeah.
New Zealand still.
Nah, I moved
Okay.
back.
So you're in California now. Okay. So yeah, I was like 2 a.m. is a really big jump if you're just in New Zealand. I'm like, that's huge. Alrighty. So yeah, just say a time that works. Like if we do, I guess the 12 p.m. one, I've set an alarm this time, so I'll wake up in time. I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, let's pick this up tomorrow, I guess. And like we made pretty good progress. So hold up, let's add like a little thing here about things to pick up tomorrow. Multiple devices, privacy. Should spaces be parents of conversations or links or linked to conversations? Like many spaces to one conversation. And crowdfunding approach tactic with the above pieces as well as time and resources allocation, right? Something like that. And does this meet the spiral and our needs, and what could the UI be like? All right. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that seems good.
Cool. Ooh. All right, sweet. All right, let's pick that up tomorrow. Thanks so much, Michael.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
And you can just let me know what time that works.
All right, sounds good.
Cool, sweet. All right,
All right.
I'm really glad with all we got done. Like, that's a lot we got done. Like, it's really a lot more tangible.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, I'm gonna let you get some sleep, Michael. Thanks a bunch.
All right, peace.